All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Welcome to our Inner Circle Live pre-New York session. I'm your host, Ryan Carthage. We'll be joined shortly by my awesome partner, Mr. Benny Allen. Hope everybody's doing well today on this beautiful Tuesday. As always, let's turn off all distractions, grab pen and paper, let's take lots of notes, and let's make sure that we participate and engage. All right. So, as always, we want to make sure that we start our day off by taking massive action. And that action stands for accepting all possible losses before entering a trade, preparing you for any outcome, centering yourself, body, mind, and spirit, ensuring a balanced approach to trading, trusting your education, strategy, trading skills, and intuition. Imagine your trade successfully materializing. Obey your trading strategy, avoiding decisions based on greed or fear, and never looking back or stopping once your trade has commenced. All right. So, hope everybody had a phenomenal weekend. Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers. Hope you're able to relax and enjoy yourself. Um, let's get down to business, man. So if everybody can hear me okay, just drop me one in the chat. Perfect. Appreciate it. All right. So let's hop over to uh trading. We'll do trading economics, and we'll slide over to the calendar. Take a look at things there, get caught up on a few things, and then we will dive into the charts. We'll take a look at the charts Joy's been posting in the community, and then we'll dive into the rest. All right. So, what has been happening? So UK pay growth. UK pay growth remains strong. Regular pay in the UK, which excludes bonus payments, went up 6% year on year. The same as in the previous period, holding at 2022 lows. Um, uh, Also, pay including bonuses rose by 5.7% above the expectation of 5.3. Meanwhile, unemployment rate edged up for the third month to 4.3%, the highest since July, and in line with forecast. So, right, unemployment increasing, but you also have pay growth that increased year on year. So we'll continue to watch that. You got U.S. producer prices. We'll see what we have coming. I believe it's today. PPI data. So this week is inflation week is what some of the news outlets are calling it. But we got tons of inflation data coming this week that will be very influential in how the market moves. So definitely looking forward to seeing that data. But U.S. producer price seen rising by 0.3%. Right, the cost, what it costs businesses to produce the products, right? And then Japanese yen weakens. The yen weakened again, past 156 per dollar, hitting the lowest levels in 2 weeks, stoking fears that Japanese authorities could intervene again to support the currency. Japan's finance minister, Suzuki, said that the government is coordinating with the Bank of Japan to ensure aligned policy objectives when it comes to foreign exchange. He added that they're taking all possible measures to closely monitor yen moves. Earlier this month, the yen rallied, as we saw, once price weakened past 160 per dollar. Suspected that the government intervened. So what's happening here is they're looking at how the weak yen is impacting inflation. And they're trying to determine if there'll be a change in when they increase interest rates is ultimately what the conversation really has been. The Bank of Japan is monitoring the inflation side of it very closely. So there might be talks of intervention, but we may not see an intervention. What we may see is a rate increase sooner than October, right? And we might see that be talked about more publicly. So that's something that we'll keep our eyes on as things continue to roll forward with the Bank of Japan and all economies really. So that's where we are there. Over to Forex Factory. Had some central bank speakers speak on Monday. PPI for Japan came in at expectation. So that held at 0.9%. There's that unemployment change for the pound. There's your average earnings for the pound. Swiss franc PPI came in above expectation, right? So there was a little bit of increase in inflation on the producer side coming out of Switzerland, but Chairman Jordan spoke and basically they said everything is moving in alignment with what they expected. So as far as inflation goes, so they're kind of feeling comfortable about their decision to cut rates earlier and where they currently sit. So we'll see continued weakness in the Swissy. So today, right? Today, 8:30 core PPI and PPI for the United States. You got FOMC member Cook speaking. You have Fed Chair Powell speaking. And then tonight you have wage prices, right? For the Aussie. Tomorrow we have CPI data for the United States, Empire State Manufacturing retail sales for the United States. Tomorrow night we have employment change, unemployment rate for the Aussie. Then on Thursday, we have unemployment claims, Philly Fed manufacturing. And then on Friday, we got CPI data coming out of the Eurozone. Okay. So inflation week for the United States. Then next week, we move into a lot of inflation data for Europe and the UK. All right, so that's where we're looking. So we got data coming out today and tomorrow. So it'll be a busy middle of the week, and then potentially volatility could slow down towards the end of the week. Oh, we got PPI for the New Zealand dollar as well. So that's where we are from a fundamental perspective. Benny posted some notes in the community yesterday as well regarding copper and oil. What am I looking for here? Boom. So we had copper source for 2 years, approaching 2-year highs. Highest level in 2 years, long-term demand and tight supply raises concerns of imminent shortage in the copper market, right? So Joy's been talking about copper quite a bit. So we're looking to see a rise in copper. So that's going to be something interesting to follow. Yeah, that's going to be interesting there. And then we had crude oil, right? Steady at $79 a barrel amid supply disruption concerns. So you have concerns over wildfire season in Canada, right? That could cause some disruption. You also still have things going on in the Middle East. You have Iraqi oil minister Ghani announced compliance with OPEC plus production cuts, so more cuts coming from the Middle East. And you also have concerns still regarding geopolitical issues with Israel, and they're moving into Rafah and other areas. Also, still in the background, the issues with Iran as well. So, oil steady at $79 a barrel. We could see potential rises in oil from there. All right. So, are there any questions from a fundamental perspective? Appreciate that, Joy. Nope, no questions. All right, cool deal. So we'll take a look at the dollar and then we'll pop through some of the charts that Joy Joy posted for us this morning. So the dollar, we're range bound, right? We had this 80-20 on the DXY. We pushed down to that 618 retracement level, and it's just been range bound. This is on a 1 hour time frame, right? So we've just been pressing sideways. This week definitely could give us some insight on where things could go from a dollar perspective. If that inflation comes in, if inflation comes in hot, then we could definitely be in for dollar rallies. You see, we've stayed above this previous daily resistance and support level, right? So the question is, do we continue to stay above that level and press back long? All right. So we're just pressing sideways right now, looking for some insight from a fundamental perspective to give us the catalyst to push the dollar in one direction or the other, right? So if that inflation data comes in weak, then we'll see the dollar continue to fall off, right? So just keep our eyes peeled there. Okay, so that's the DXY. Let's take a look at the UJ. From a daily perspective, this is where we are, right? We know last couple of weeks we had price press to the downside after pushing into that 118 and 127 zone with the intervention from the Bank of Japan. And then last week we saw price run back to the upside, right? So we're in this retracement phase and looking to see where price goes from here, right? A lot riding on the dollar, but also a lot riding on the Bank of Japan as well, and what they decide to do in the short term and in the long term, seeing as there still is a very large separation in interest rates and in policy overall. So if the Bank of Japan does start to make some actual fundamental changes, then we could see this move back to the downside. One thing the Bank of Japan did do is they slowed down their bond purchases, right? And they said that they were going to do that, but they started slowing that down a little sooner. So the goal is to start to make some of those policy shifts. And if they stop purchasing the bonds, right, then we could see some capital flow back into the Japanese yen as they continue to decrease that. But in this scenario, right, it'll also be what happens with the dollar as well. Okay, so that's where we are from a daily perspective. Coming down to the 4, there we are, right? We're also in a 118, 127 zone. That's the sharp move down, and then there's the pullback, right? So if you're looking at sub fibs, here you are, right? These are sub fibs off that low, right? Previous resistance became future support, okay? And we started pressing back to the upside. So this is on the 4-hour. We got a nice cloud break here. We do have a shallow retracement. We're sitting in the 118, 127 zone. We got this cloud break. We're also bullish ahead. So we could see it continue to rise, at least in the short term, right? So we'll see what happens as we continue to push to the upside, right? But we're still pushing back into that 118 and 127 zone, quite a ways away from that D extension at 161, 253. Okay, so that's where we are on the 4. And as we drop down to the 1, here's that bat signal that Joy told us about. We got a fresh AB boundary on the 1 hour. Whoops, there we go. Fresh AB boundary on the 1 hour. So it's just a question of what happens from here. Do we get the retracement early, or do we push higher into the zone, maybe even get to the D extension, right? And then do we get price to turn back over? Okay. So that's where we are on the dollar yen, looking to see what happens here. Okay. Are there any questions on the dollar yen? Nope. All right. Cool deal. Benny posted this yesterday, but also Joy posted this morning about the Euro Swissy. All right. We talked about the Swiss franc and Chairman Jordan's comments. But daily time frame, we're pushing long. Okay. We got some indecision right now, but long push on Sunday, right, into Monday. Now we got some indecision, so we'll see if we get slight pullback and then continuations to the upside there, right? But the expectation overall is to see this continue to move long, okay? But we come down to the 4. and we see that we got a cloud break, right? Strong bullish push. We got a bit of a pullback. We got a TK crossover. And if we zoom in, we see we got the Kumo twist. All right. And we have the lagging span, which is here. This faint dotted line, you may be able to see it. But that's also above price as well. So everything from a cloud perspective is pointing bullish. Okay, we got all of our signals on the 4, pulled back, retested that cloud, and now we're trying to push back to the upside. So we'll continue to monitor this and ultimately look for price to continue moving to the upside after the 618 retracement, matching the extension there at 99,189. Right. Great work, Kay. Kay says she's been in this one for a little bit. That's awesome. Great work. All right. Did you take it off the 618 retracement? Yeah, adjustment sevens for K. Jumping in 2 feet in. All right. Yep, took it off the 618 retracement. Beautiful, right? Great job. When you see it, right? K's rules are on the 4-hour time frame. She's looking for deep retracements and looking for the move to the upside. Boom, right? And she's working on her patience, right? It's beautiful to see just stepping out there and taking action, right? We've talked about it for the past few weeks on Mindset Monday on the need to take action and how we can do that. But it's beautiful, right? Once you take action, now that action reinforces what you desire to do, right? So great work, Kay. I love it. I love it. Great job. So we'll look for price to continue moving to the upside here. We do have this weekly resistance at 98,393. So we'll see how price responds there, but overall looking for price to continue moving to the upside. Okay. We come down to the 1, and here we had an 80-20, right? Shallow retracement, 118 to 127 zone. This 1 hour 80-20 was in line with that 618 retracement on the 4, right? So we had some alignment on the 4 hour and the 1 hour, and there you got your reversal moving to the upside, right? So at some point, we'll actually take out that A as we push to that weekly resistance and beyond. All right. Questions on Euro Swiss? No. Okay. Cool deal. um, Cool deal. We'll bounce back here. Joy also was talking to us about the S&P 500. So let's take a look. Pressing to the upside. This is on the 4 hour. Joyce said showing strength because of the tech sector, even though Microsoft is showing in the red, but Nvidia and Apple are holding strong, which makes the 4 hour a big tease. It's the only time frame with stochastic in the buy zone. So this is where we are, right? So we'll see what happens. We got a daily resistance at 52.86. Okay. But we got this 80-20 scenario lining up for us. So let's see. And maybe we get another push to, right, that 52.86 level, right? It's like we have projected there. And then maybe we get that reversal, right? So maybe that is what gets that 4 hour stochastic in alignment with everything else, right? So here's your stochastic on the 4. All right, pushing down into the buy zone, right? We bounce back to the daily time frame. And let's make this cleaner. Maybe. Oh. Take out these smaller waves. Boom. There we go. Right. So we know we're in the 118, 127 zone on the daily time frame as well. And daily, we've got a stochastic that is overbought. Right. So maybe one more push to the upside, getting to that 52.86 and back to those all-time highs, give us potentially a double top and that stochastic on the 4-hour to be in alignment. Right. So we'll watch and see how that moves. Right. The sub fib here would also complete at the D extension level. Okay. So let's watch this and see if we get that push. Okay. And that could give us the alignment that we need on the 4. Okay. Cycle that through, get that back to the top side, be overbought. Also, I want to see, let's go back here. Don't have a swing high yet there. So we'll watch that and see if we get a high to form on the daily. And then on the 1, we also got 80-20 scenario. Okay. So even if we push that daily resistance, still in that 118, 127 zone, not at the D extension. Right. And we also have the 1-hour stochastic that's overbought as well. Okay. So continue to watch this and see, right? Like I said, market open. Let's see if we get a push to the upside, right? And get there. We'll see what the data says for the dollar at 8:30. But when the market open, we could see a push to the upside and get us there to the resistance, and then we'll look for price to turn over and push to the downside, right? This could shape up to be, this double top could shape up to be a nice long move to the downside, getting back to the 4,600 level, right? So we'll watch that and see what happens, but we're starting to get some alignment on all of our time frames, which is a beautiful thing to see. Now, if we can just get this double top and a retest there, we could be in the money on the move to the downside. So we'll watch the S&P 500 closely there. Okay. Joy, appreciate you posting those charts for us. Any questions on the S&P 500? Nope. All right. Cool deal. Let's drop Joy some 7s for the insight, because she also gave us some insight there on what's happening in the background from a fundamental perspective on those. So we appreciate you, Joy. Yep, got you, Reese. NASDAQ. Let's go. Boom. 1-hour time frame, still slowly trickling to the upside here. Right. We had the 118, 127 zone last week, trying to push to the upside. We also got resistance at that level. You guys were telling me that, was it this one that had a different different symbol? Anywho, pushing to the upside, right? Pushing to the upside here. So we'll see. This is on the 1-hour time frame, still in that 118, 127 zone. We haven't hit the D extension yet. So similar to the S&P 500, we'll continue to watch that, right? Because we have this action here also on the 4-hour, right? Shallow retracement, trying to push into that 118, 127 zone. So could see similar action to the S&P. Another push to the upside that would get us to the D extension on the 1-hour, but maybe push back to this 18,488 resistance before we see price turn over and make its way back down to the downside. Right. So come back to the daily. And this is where we are on the daily. We haven't got to that 382 level yet there either. Okay. Zoom in on that. Held at that daily support. Shy of that 382 at 1692. So like I said, similar to the S&P 500, right? We may see another push to the upside to test that daily level again, and then see if we can get price moving back down to the downside. Okay. We got stochastic on the daily time frame in the sell zone, right? Overbought on the 4-hour, right? We're in the buy zone. Okay. So another push to the upside could give us that cycle, back into the sell zone on the stochastic. So let's watch for that. But we do have the 80-20 on all the time frames lining up. Now we're just looking for uh, the sellers to come into the market, right? And push price back down to the downside. So 80-20 is on all those time frames. Let's go down to 30 for you, Reese. Similar deal as the one, right? Similar deal as the one. So we'll just if you're playing this off the 30, just use that additional confirmation, right? Wait for the data, see what it says, and then see between 9:30 and 10:15, see if we start to get a rise to the upside, right? And get this push. And maybe we get, right, beginning at the open, we could even see a push down and then see price run to the upside, right? Something like that. So um just watch it closely, right? Even if we get a push down in the short term, right? Let it break some of these lows first. Because like I said, we could see that type of action at the market open as well, push down and then a run back to the upside. So we'll watch that close, but let's see what the data says and let's see if we can get a push higher, right? And give us a higher price to then get this nice run back down to the downside off of your higher time frames and your lower time frames back to that 382. Okay. Questions on the S&P 500. Reese, you seen anything different? No questions. Oh, all right, cool. Same thing for sure. Hey, no doubt. All right, so that's where we are on those. Let's go over, take a look at our Aussie. Actually, quick peek at oil, right? We talked about it from a fundamental perspective. Still on the 1 hour, right? We're hovering at this B boundary range, trying to make our way to the upside and complete this 80-20 scenario, right? Push down into that 118, 127 zone on Wednesday. Beautiful move up, came back down, and now we're trying to make those higher lows and get to the point where we have higher highs, right? So we're moving up just slowly, right? So we'll watch things from a fundamental perspective on oil as that 80-20 scenario works itself out, right? And there we are on the 4 as well. Same thing. Okay, so we got 80-20 on the 4 hour and the 1 hour, looking for price to move to the upside, coming back to the daily. This is where we sit in this kind of sort of range here, right? Moving sideways. So we'll see where oil goes. We'll watch things from a geopolitical perspective, along with potential wildfires in Canada, and how that could impact oil. Okay. Questions on oil? Just a quick look there. Oh, all right. Cool deal. Um, let's go. No, let's look at the Aussie dollar. Aussie dollar, right ahead of the dollar news. We'll take a look at the dollar CAD as well and dollar Swiss, but we're still in this range, right? We're stuck between 66,452 and 65,860, just pressing sideways. So the data today could give us information and insight on where this could go. Okay. We come down to the 4, right? And that's our range on the 4, still stuck between that 786 and 86 retracement zone. Okay. So we'll monitor this. I'm watching this one from this 4-hour perspective, see if we get the catalyst to move this back down to the downside. I don't see the dollar just completely falling off the map and losing all strength, right? Um, we do have some bullish bias coming out of Australia, but I don't think inflation is tamed yet. So my bias is in favor of the dollar here. So I am looking at some point to see the dollar bulls come back out right, and move this back down to the downside. So we'll continue to watch and see how things move there from a 4-hour perspective. Coming down to your one, right, that's just your range moving sideways there. Okay, so we'll watch this off the 4-hour time frame here. Okay, we have a swing high that formed back above the cloud. We're moving through the cloud on the 1 hour, so staying above at the moment. So we'll see how things shape up from a cloud perspective on the 1 hour. See if we're able to break back about for price to move back down to the downside there. Okay, questions on the Aussie dollar 4-hour deep retracement? No. Cool. Cat Swiss. We're talking about that Swissy weakness. And we know we had some setups here. So looking at this CAD Swiss continuing to push to the upside. Okay, they were on the daily time frame, but we're making those higher highs. We're trying to make another higher low here. We'll see if we can get price to continue to run to the upside there. Okay, coming down to the 4, right? That wick gave us the 8-6 retracement. So we're looking for price to continue to rise. On the 1 hour is where we had the setup. Boom, right? Went from an 80-20 to a 8-6 retracement. And we're looking for price to continue to rise, right? See, we got the cloud break there. We pulled back and tested the cloud, and we've continued moving bullish. So looking for this one to continue. Been a beautiful move off the low so far, right? See if you're still sitting in that. That's 30 pips to the upside off that 786 level. And we'll look for price to continue to move long. Okay. So that's the CAD Swiss. Any questions here? No? Cool. CAD Yen. And this one is going to be interesting, I believe, right? I said this before, but we got a weekly D extension that's been achieved and we're pressing sideways. We got to the 382 on the monthly, right? And we're pressing back to the upside. We broke above this key level at 111,226, right? So as we come down on the daily, we also got to the 382 level and we're pressing back long. Okay, so broke, retested that level, and now we're pressing back to the upside. So I'm curious to see how far we push. Let's see what happens here, right? If from a Canadian dollar perspective, we get some strength here. Like I said, I don't know that the Bank of Japan is going to intervene, but we could see some just overall policy changes to move the yen, but that could linger on for a little while. We come down to the 4, right? We have our 80-20 scenario here, but we got this nice break and retest, and we're pressing back to the upside. So we got to watch and see because we could get to the D extension here on this CAD yen, right at 117,552. So we'll watch and see how the Canadian dollar moves to see where this goes. All right. So I'm watching this one closely. This is the one of the yen crosses that I haven't started building a position in yet. Because I'm looking to see how price responds in these higher ranges here. Okay. So pressing long, right? And nothing has changed there yet. So we'll continue to monitor that and see how far it pushes. We come down to the 1, right? And let me take the cloud off for it. Well, you see we broke the cloud here and we've just been bullish ever since, right? So it's been running to the upside from a cloud perspective. Take that off and you see, right, we're just looking to get a deep retracement. So we could push into the 618, 786, 86 range and then potentially see some action. So we'll watch that closer to see how things move from that perspective. But right now, we're just long, right? We're just long until something changes out of Japan. Okay. Questions on the CAD yen? No. Right. And we could see this continue to stay range bound for a little while as well, right? Bottom of the range, move to the top of the range, and just bounce a bit here until the Bank of Japan is ready to do their thing. Okay. So that's the caddy in. Take a look at this Euro Aussie. This one is very interesting because on the daily time frame, right, we're still sitting in the 618 range. We haven't been able to break out in either direction, right? So we're stalling here. We got inflation data for the euro, I believe, coming out next week, coming out of the Eurozone. Um, so that could be the catalyst. We'll see what happens with the employment and unemployment rate for the Aussie to see if that moves price in one direction or the other. But this one overall, over the long term, I am looking for it to push back to the upside. So I'm still sitting in this one as it bounces around and does its thing. Um, yeah, right. So we got that support at 161, 337 as well. So we come down to the four. Same. Yeah. Yeah. It's been a long, drawn out scenario, but we haven't taken out the A, right? Price has not taken out the A, so we're waiting for it to move in our favor, right? Same thing on the 4 hour time frame, just range bound there, looking for price to move to the upside. Okay. So just sitting tight there, nothing doing, just watching and waiting and being patient to see price move to the upside there. Okay. Questions on the Euro Aussie? Nope. Benny, good morning, bro.
Good morning, Ryan. Good morning, everybody. How are you, Ryan?
I'm doing well, man. How about yourself?
Oh man, doing pretty good. Can't complain.
Good, good, good. I know you've been moving and shaking this morning. Anything from a fundamental perspective or any charts you got your eyes on, bro?
No, I'm just watching those. Nothing fundamentally. I'm pretty sure you covered that. In the beginning with trading economics and everything, we had posted some notes and stuff
Yeah,
inside the community. But just looking at those. Of course, the yens. I'm still sitting in that Aussie yen. Just continues to move long, right?
man. Yeah,
Um, Yen pairs in general. See how they settle out. I heard you talking about the Bank of Japan, what they may have to do. And then just looking at those Swiss crosses,
yep.
trading a few of those. So they seem to be moving, in the same direction at the same time. But other than that, that's it. That's it. We got some inflation data looming, right?
Yes, sir. 8:30, we got some. Um, Tomorrow we got CPI. Today is PPI, tomorrow CPI for the United States, and then we got a ton next week coming out of the Eurozone and out of the UK.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
So,
that's yeah. So that's about it.
my man, appreciate it, bro.
All right.
Um, cool. So, euro dollar, right? Pressing to the upside, right? We got this crown pattern that hasn't completed yet. We had these long bearish moves, and now we're taking back a lot of that move, right? It's been a long move back to the upside, so we want to see what happens here and see if we get price to continue making its way to the downside there. Coming to the four, this is where we are, right? Sitting at this 50% retracement level. Are we able to push into the 618786 retracement zone? Right. So maybe we get one more push to the upside and then see some more consolidation before we see that reversal. Okay. So let's watch and see here if we get that last push. Price has just been hovering right there for a bit. So I'd love to see another push higher before we break down. Okay. So that's on the four. That's what I'm looking for. And that's really where, for me, where the move is waiting on all of this to develop. All right. So I'm watching that one closely there. We'll see what the data says and see where it pushes price. On the 1 hour, we got to break above the cloud after a 50% retracement. And we're pushing long. So that could also lend to at least another push to the upside and then see where price goes after it gets into this range. Maybe we get back to 109, 121. Where would that land us? And that land us kind of right in that zone, 78686 range, right? If we hit the D extension on the 1 hour. So maybe that's the move, right? So we'll watch the data and see what happens there. Let's do this. Yeah, puts us right in that zone. So maybe that's the move, right? And then we see price turnover and push back down to the downside. Okay. Stochastic on the daily is overbought, right? Overbought on the daily. So we could be in for some movement to the downside at some point. Just waiting for all things to align and for that to develop. So sitting tight there, waiting to see what the data says and see if we get the catalyst to move it down. Questions on the euro dollar. Nope. All right. Cool deal. I gotta look at that Swiss yen. Euro yen. Pressing back to this previous monthly resistance. Boom. Right? Pressing back to the upside. So we got 169,852 in sight, and we'll see what happens when we get there, right? We broke it briefly with the wick, right? We got a daily resistance level there. So we'll watch and see how price moves again, right? We'll see what happens with the Bank of Japan and see how long they allow things to continue to run, and then see what they choose to do from there. Okay, but pressing long nonetheless. So we come down to the 4, and you see, right? Previous resistance became future support, and we pressed. So we're pushing back into this 118, 127 zone. I'm sorry. No. Here on the 4, we just got to that 382 level here, and we're pressing to the upside. So that weekly, monthly level is going to be key to see how price responds there, and see if price stays below. If we break back above 169, 852, and we're able to close above it, right, then we could see break, retest, and continue pressing to the upside. Okay, so we'll watch and see how that goes, but just been trickling along to the upside. Okay, so we come down to the 1, and we're pressing into the 118, 127 zone with the D extension at that 169, 852 level. So I got my eyes on this one from a 1 hour perspective to see if we get a reversal here. But we could still just kind of trickle along to the upside and not get that reversal. So adding some additional confirmation there just to make sure we get the identification of price moving back down to the downside. So that's where we are though. So watch this as price moves into the zone and see how things respond. All right, see how the yens respond as we move through the day. Yeah, we'll watch to see if the Bank of Japan does anything, but they may not. They may not intervene, as they might be preparing for some larger things. So, questions on the euro yen? No. Okay. Cool. Ba, 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 ba. Pound dollar. So this one's always interesting, but just like the rest, press to the upside, right? We got some indecision on today. So watching and seeing where price goes from there. We haven't gotten to that 382 level yet. So at some point we could be in for that move back down to the downside with dollar strength if we get it. Coming down to the 4. Let's see. There we go. That's where we are on the 4. We got a 786 retracement there, but we've just been bouncing. Okay, so watching to see what happens. Sharp move down, and now we're pressing back to the upside. All right, so maybe we get back to tops of this range, 127, ish, and maybe 128, depending on the data, right? What happens, but potentially coming back here before we get a move back down to the downside. So we'll watch that and see. We come down to the one. Let's see what it says. The one, we've already got a 618 retracement, so maybe we come back and test that again. So it'll be interesting to see how price moves here, right? Just a ton of bouncing back and forth. So we'll see if we get some traction with the dollar, either bullish or bearish, right? So that's what we're waiting on here. So not a ton happening, waiting and seeing. Questions on the pound dollar? Nope.
No, sir.
Cool deal. Pound yen. Similar deal, right? We got 80-20 on all of our higher time frames. Patiently waiting. Yep. Cool. So we're pressing back, trying to press back above 195, 966 here, right? But 80-20 on the monthly time frame, 80-20 on the weekly time frame as we continue to push back to the upside. And then we have this 80-20 on the daily time frame. And we're trying to break, like I said, back above, right, 196. So another one that I'm watching closely to see how the market responds here, because we're inching back to these higher levels, right? Do we get back to 200? That'll be interesting. Get a double top there. So watching to see how price responds. Coming down to the 4, right? You see that move back to the upside and you see the cloud break, right? We got a cloud break. We got the TK crossover. We got the Kumo twist. Those are bullish signs, right? So how long do we continue to push to the upside here? Okay, so watching that move as it continues to go, but right now it's bullish. Okay, and we'll wait to see what's happening with the BOJ. And there's our 4-hour 80-20. Okay. So let's watch and see here, right? And just like some of the others, maybe we get range bound for a bit until something happens. But pressing long nonetheless, bullish signs as we, all right? So break of the cloud, kind of tested the cloud. And let's see if we get another push to the upside there. Okay. Down to the 1. I'm going to run a fib off of this low. And that's where we are there. Already got a 382 push. And now we're pushing back to the upside. So patiently waiting there as well. Okay. Questions on the pound yen? Nope. All right. Pound CAD. And on the in the accountability group last week, we were talking about this pound CAD, and we're still range bound here. So this is going to be interesting to see where price goes if we get the CAD strength or if we get pound strength. The Bank of England is still they're kind of split on when they should start cutting rates. So that conversation is going back and forth right now, and that tells us the story right there, right? Just pressing sideways. We come down to the 4, however, and we have this nice deep retracement. So I'm watching this to see if we're able to stay inside this AB boundary, right? And start to make lower highs and lower lows to break down, right? But that will call for CAD strength, and they will call for the BOE to make a decision, right, on what they're going to do. So I'm sitting in this one right now, short. We'll see how things play out here. Okay, but that's what I'm looking for, is a breakout in one direction or the other there. Okay, so that's on the 4. Coming down to the 1, you're moving down into your your lower levels, right? So we got a 786 retracement already on this, and we started pressing back to the upside. So we'll watch and see where price moves as things evolve in Canada and with oil and then with the BOE. Okay, so back and forth on the time frames, but this is just that consolidation moving sideways at the end of the day. Okay, so waiting for a catalyst on this one. Questions on the pound CAD. All right, cool. Let's go back to this Swiss yen. So I don't think I like this one, but 80-20 on the monthly, weekly, right? Just shy of the extension there. Your daily, you got to the 382 on here, right? But we're pressing back long. Okay, pressing back long. So how high does it go? Do we get to that 170? Yet to be seen. Patience pays, so we'll wait and see what happens here. On the 4, we already got a deeper tracement, just shy of the 618 level. So pressing back to the upside, and we'll see where price goes from there. Okay, down to the 1. On a 1 hour, we're pressing to that 50 on that down. Close it out real quick, right? Pressing long, 50 retracement, we get back to the 786 level. Or before we get turnaround there, right? And add the cloud back. You see that we also broke cloud, and it's been a beautiful move to the upside, right? Off the cloud, 76 pips to the good. So be watching that one, monitoring the yen across the board and see where yen. Let's go back here. Let's have the dollar CAD. Clean this up a little bit. Hold markings. See, we got that down to the downside. Let's come back to the daily. Boom, right? Overall, right? From a long-term come on. Long-term perspective, we've been right. 618 retracement. Looking long. But we've also been caught in this range. So we hit the top of the range. We're pulling back a bit now. We have some resistance there that we're retesting. So want to see oh, good. Okay. Hey, says she's been long on the dollar CAD also. Beautiful. Beautiful. Um, so looking to see now, do we settle in and do we get another to the upside? Okay. Break us out of this range and head toward that D extension. But now And so we come back. And let's see where our fibs get us on for. I'm gonna just save us from there, and this is where we are on the 4. Boom, there we go. A little different, but but there we are. So up just shy of that 50%. Maybe we get another push down the zone, test that trend line, and like that. All right, so be patient here. Come out, do the thing. Yeah, drop some 7s as well on that. Eighth thing, man. As learning, yeah, definitely nice structure. As she's learning and implementing and learning and implementing and asking questions, right? That's so right, let's see if we get that type of action in dollar CAD. Maybe another push to the downside and then get that move back long. Okay, so waiting on the data there. Questions on the dollar CAD? Okay, and we'll wrap things up with some clarity here. That's on the 4. 127 zone. We broke down, right? We're just hovering now at the moment. If we get another push to the downside and press back to the upside, come back to the daily for a second. Capital fib to the downside. We're inching that a pair of sub fibs, which those fibs are that 80-20 scenario there. So we'll right and see if we're able to get this dollar Swissy coming, but it's going to be dollar based opposed to space. So okay, so that's where we are on our Swiss. And there you go. Right. And there's that move to the downside, 8-6 retracement level there. So waiting to see, waiting what the dollar, what the data says. Waiting to see if we get a catalyst to the upside. Okay. Question, anything that we heard this morning? Nope. Benny, anything before we wrap it up?
Nope. Pick your spots, right? Trail sweet spots. Be patient. Then let them run, right? And then right, the data that's coming out. See what market as a result. Yeah.
Yes, sir. All right, good people. Listen. We talk about it all. Find your 1% a day, right? Be it a lesson, opportunity to implement something new, opportunity to push yourself outside your comfort zone, right? Pick your spots on the charts. Find your 1% opportunity. Phenomenal day. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning, 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in New York session. Talk to you. Peace.
Okay.
You're welcome. Oh, and if you're available, 6 p.m. tonight, accountability group in the community, tap in there as well. Team. All right.